Have you ever wondered why some people act in such a confusing and opposite way when they fall in love? There are moments when everything feels clear to you, almost impossible to misunderstand. You feel that there is love, you sense it deeply, and still, there are tiny actions, pauses, or quiet moments that suddenly make you question everything. But what if I told you that the deepest kind of love, the kind that rises from the hidden parts of a person, the part they themselves may not fully understand, often appears through small behaviors that most people never notice? There are people who dedicated their lives to studying the human inner world, the invisible threads between hearts, the emotions that cannot always be expressed with words but shape our choices and reactions in powerful ways. And when someone is truly in love, even if they are not aware of it on the surface, their inner self begins to show it long before their logical mind catches up. This man who leaves you confused with his silence, his sudden distance, or moments where he becomes unexpectedly close, might actually be more deeply in love with you than he realizes. Because love doesn't always walk in a straight line. It doesn't always follow clear logic or perfect communication. Sometimes love moves quietly. Sometimes it shows itself through dreams, through glances he gives you without even realizing, or through the way his behavior slowly shifts only around you. There is a truth. What does not rise into awareness often appears in life as if it were fate. This is also true for love. If he hasn't yet understood his own feelings, something deeper inside him has already begun acting for him. But then the question comes, how can you know if he is truly in love? How can you recognize the signs his inner world is sending, even when he does not say anything directly? These signals do not come from cliché ideas or simple things like how often he texts. No, this goes much deeper. We will explore what many call the symbols of the soul, the expressions of a man when something inside him starts to respond the moment you are near, even if he himself cannot explain it. And before we start, I want you to watch with attention, because many people wait for big words or huge displays of affection and end up missing the most important thing of all, the quiet shift that happens within someone when you enter their life. Real love is not something that can be pushed or planned like a schedule. It feels like a force that cannot be stopped, a force that breaks down our walls and connects us with the truest part of ourselves. So open your awareness, trust your intuition, and look closely at the following signs. If this man shows even one of these behaviors, if you've seen him react in any of these ways, then he is moved by you far more deeply than he is ready to say out loud. He is most likely much more in love than his rational mind is willing to admit. I will guide you through these signs step by step, from the softest ones to the most visible ones. Stay with it until the end, because this understanding won't just help you see love more clearly, it may also heal old doubts that have been quietly growing in your heart. This is not only about discovering whether he loves you, it is about understanding how the deeper part of a person answers to real love. When a man is touched by a feminine presence that stirs something inside him, his behavior starts changing in ways he cannot fully control. And the first strong sign appears in his attention, not in the loud, showy attention that tries to impress or win approval, but in something more delicate and sincere. He starts noticing details about you that nobody else even thinks about. He senses how you truly feel, even when you say, "I'm okay." He picks up on changes in your hairstyle, even though you never mentioned it. He hears a tiny shift in your voice that others ignore. This kind of attention doesn't come from simple interest. It comes from a silent inner connection that is forming inside him. Real emotions often rise to the surface through small expressions so they can be seen. And that is exactly what is happening here. This man reacts from a deep place, not from calculation or strategy. He does not need to see you every day to have you on his mind. You might hear him bring up your name in moments where you least expect it. He may ask questions about things you mentioned long ago. He might show up without any special reason other than something inside him pulling him toward you. This is not dependency, and it's not obsession. This is emotional resonance. Your presence has touched something within him, and that part of him begins speaking even without words. Another major sign is the way he changes when he is around you. Some men behave the same with every woman, but when a man is truly in love, even if he doesn't realize it, his behavior toward you becomes different. He may seem more open, more honest, even a little awkward or unsure at times. True love doesn't demand perfection. It softens us. It reveals the real person underneath the masks. If he drops his outer shield only with you, if his silence around you feels meaningful instead of uncomfortable, you are dealing with something deep, something far beyond surface attraction. There are those who say that the heart naturally protects what it loves, and you can often see this happening. This man may begin looking after you in ways that don't always make logical sense. He makes sure you are safe, that you are not feeling unwell, that you are warm enough, that you don't have to walk alone at night, that you ate something, that someone treats you with respect. He does these things not because he wants to control you and not because of ego. He does them because his inner balance feels connected to yours. Without asking, without demanding anything back, he begins caring for you as if you already hold a place inside his life. Even if he never puts it into words, that quiet devotion is already an admission of his feelings. So when you notice these signs, don't dismiss them. Don't let his outer confusion fool you. What is happening inside him is much bigger than what he shows, and what comes next often reveals even more. There are moments when a man does not need to say a single word because his energy speaks louder than sentences ever could. Maybe he hasn't given you any deep confession. Maybe he hasn't made grand promises, but something in his eyes, in his breathing when you are near, in the quiet way he stands next to you, says everything. That silence is not emptiness, it is connection, it is soul-touching soul. When a man feels more for you than he allows himself to admit, his body communicates for him. Watch how he reacts when others talk about you. If someone praises you, look at the way his face lights up. If someone criticizes you, pay attention to the tension in his expression. Love does not need to be fully conscious to protect what it cares for. Instinct takes control, even when the mind is slow to understand. The deeper part of us has its own language, and many times we are moved by emotions we haven't learned to name. When a man reacts, even with the smallest change in his eyes, the moment your name is mentioned, something inside him has already accepted that you are important. And then there is the effort. Real feelings always create effort. It does not have to be something dramatic. Sometimes it's the way he listens to you with full presence, the way he remembers something you said in passing, the way he adjusts his plans to make time for you, or how he apologizes quickly when he thinks he hurt you. Someone who feels nothing does not move, but someone whose heart is involved, even without understanding why, begins making room. He does not do it to impress you. He does it because his inner world is already shifting to include you, even if he is not fully aware of what is happening. And there is a sign that very few people ever notice, but it is one of the strongest of all. He starts to change, even when you are not there. His daily rhythm shifts without him understanding why. His thoughts wander away from what he is doing. He becomes a little distant, more lost in thought, as if something deep inside him has been switched on without his awareness. But you are there, present in his inner world, present in his feelings, present in the parts of his mind that used to run on autopilot but no longer do. There are people who say that inner images can shape a person deeply, even without physical closeness. And you, without planning it, have become one of those inner images for him. Even if he does not say it, even if he denies it, even if he tries to act normal, you have already become part of his inner life. So do not be fooled by what you see on the surface. Many men stay silent about what they feel, not because they do not feel anything, but because it is difficult for them to turn the language of the heart into simple sentences. And that is exactly where you can see deeper if you pay attention. You can sense what he himself has not fully discovered yet, that his heart has already chosen you long before his mind catches up. Stay with me, because there are still more signs that reveal this quiet but powerful love that grows inside a man even when he tries to hide it. Once you understand all of these signs, you will see the full picture clearly, and that picture may completely change the way you understand love, connection, and what goes on inside a man who is falling deeply without even meaning to. There is a transformation that happens inside a man who begins to love. At first, it is barely visible. It is slow, subtle, almost impossible to notice unless you look closely, but it is incredibly strong. This change begins to appear when he starts letting go of certain behaviors that once felt completely natural to him. Maybe he used to fear getting too close. Maybe he preferred keeping emotional space between himself and others. Maybe he was comfortable alone and stayed in his own world without wanting anyone to enter. But since you have come close to him, something inside him is gently shifting. It is no longer enough for him to live only for himself. In his thoughts and emotions, a new place begins to open, a place he never allowed anyone to reach before. And what makes this so important is that he does not do this out of pressure or obligation. It happens quietly, almost without him noticing. It feels as if his soul is softly adjusting to a new direction, a new life, a new reality that is calling him from inside. Watch closely if he starts sharing with you parts of himself that he hides from everyone else. Not small everyday details, but the more delicate pieces of his story, the mistakes he once made, the fears he carries, the dreams he keeps buried. When a man shows you this side of himself, he is showing his true humanity, not to look strong, not to seem perfect, but because he trusts you in a way he has never trusted anyone. At that point, it is no longer about trying to win you or play any game. It becomes something else entirely. It becomes a quiet form of devotion. And this devotion, even if it appears gentle or small from the outside, is the clearest sign that something deep inside him has changed forever. There are people who say the inner self needs a reflection to recognize itself, and slowly you become that reflection for him. Through you, he sees parts of himself he never looked at before. You become not just someone he likes, but someone who helps him understand who he truly is. There is another sign that many people overlook. Pay attention to how he reacts to your emotions. Not everyone can handle someone else's emotional world. Some people shut down. Some people pull away. But when a man feels connected to you, he begins to adjust himself emotionally without thinking. If you are happy, he feels lighter with you. If you are sad, he becomes uneasy, even if he cannot explain why. He might not have the perfect words. He might not ask you directly if everything is okay, but you will notice it in his eyes, in the calmness of his voice, in the way he moves a little closer, even when he is unsure what to say. He simply wants to be near you. This quiet urge to be present, even when he cannot express himself clearly, is one of the purest signs of a love he has not fully understood yet. And maybe the strongest sign of all appears when you are not with him. Notice how he acts when you are not around. Does he bring up your name in small conversations? Does he save stories or moments to tell you later? Does he think of you first when something happens that he wants to share? In those moments when there is no physical closeness, yet you remain alive in his mind, alive in his heart, alive in his reactions, it becomes obvious. He is more in love than he believes. Because what stays during absence is stronger than anything said during presence. That is not chance. That is the language of the soul speaking in ways that cannot be hidden. This has nothing to do with guessing or playing mind games. It is about learning to read with your heart. Love does not always arrive with clear words or confirmed declarations. It often appears through signals, soft, meaningful, emotional signs that the inner self sends out when it recognizes another soul. Stay with me, because what comes next will show you how love behaves when it can no longer stay silent. There is a stage where a man, without realizing it, begins to need your presence, not out of habit, but as a sense of emotional grounding. He might not say beautiful romantic lines. He might not plan big declarations. But something in his energy shifts every time you are not around. Maybe he becomes restless when he has not heard from you. Maybe he suddenly appears again right at the moment you were ready to move on. Maybe he finds small excuses to come close, not because of anything practical, but simply to feel that you are still in his life. This is not obsession, and it is not unhealthy dependency. It is a natural connection that comes from deep inside, a connection even he cannot fully understand. There are people who say the unconscious does not follow rules of logic or proper timing. When a real emotion settles there, it starts showing itself through thoughts, impulses, and choices. And one of the clearest signs of this is when he begins to value your opinion, even on things that do not directly involve you. Maybe he shares his future ideas and asks what you feel about them. He is not trying to impress you. He truly wants to know if it fits with you, because somewhere inside, you have become part of his picture of the future. He might start talking to you about his worries or doubts, not because he sees you as someone to fix him, and not because he cannot handle his emotions, but because he feels safe with you. He senses that he can be real without hiding. And when a man reaches that point where he opens his heart without fear of being judged, the walls he once built begin to fall. True love never grows from control or certainty. It grows from openness and vulnerability. This trust he gives you, even without realizing it, is one of the most honest forms of deep love. But what confirms everything is the moment he begins to imagine his future and you appear in it without him planning to include you. You may notice it in small ways. He talks about a place he wants to visit one day, and somehow you are in that picture. He speaks about something he wants to achieve, and the way he says it makes it sound as if you will be there too. These little moments, these spontaneous pieces of his imagination, are like windows into his hidden feelings. Deep inside, you are already part of his journey, not as a temporary visitor, but as someone essential. You do not need to push him or demand answers. When the soul loves, it reveals that love through the smallest actions. And when his attention, his choices, his energy, and his quiet devotion start naturally forming around you, then what is growing between you is real, even if he has not understood it yet, even if he has not said it out loud. Because when the soul has already chosen, everything that follows becomes only a matter of time. And in that time, you begin to see with the eyes of the heart what the mind is not yet brave enough to admit. Stay with me, because there is still so much more to uncover. When a man starts looking at you as if you belong to something he never wants to lose, his way of behaving around you begins to shift. And this shift isn't shallow. It's not only that he suddenly becomes more sweet or wants to meet you more often. It's something deeper, something inside him that begins to rebuild its whole world around your existence. Because when a feeling is real, the other person is not seen as an extra part of life, but as something essential, something the heart holds tightly without the need to explain why. You'll notice it in the way he gives you priority, even without saying a single word. Maybe his day has been exhausting. Maybe his mind is full and many things need his attention. And still, he stays present, not because he feels he must, but because he simply cannot imagine leaving you aside. Time with you, even in quiet moments, brings him a sense of calm. And calmness is one of the most undervalued yet most meaningful emotions in love. It's not always about butterflies or excitement. True love, the kind that grows from deep within, also shows itself in the peace one feels around someone. Where you don't have to pretend, where you don't have to be perfect, where you can just exist and still be accepted. When he feels that peace with you, when he realizes he can put his guard down, that he doesn't need to act strong or hide his weaknesses, he begins to see you as a kind of home, not a place with walls, but a place for the heart to rest. And when that happens, something beautiful begins to unfold that many people don't notice at first. He starts aligning himself with you without you saying anything. Maybe he slowly begins to enjoy things you enjoy. Maybe he becomes curious about your interests, your thoughts, what touches you deeply. It's not that he's losing himself. No, it's that he's discovering the beauty of sharing what he feels and what he loves. This isn't random. When two souls understand each other, inner barriers soften. That is where true closeness starts to grow. Not just desire, not just attraction, but that gentle sense of belonging that doesn't need big words or loud expressions. Watch also how he stands up for you when you're not there. Maybe you never hear about it, maybe no one tells you, but in small talks and moments when you cannot see him, he speaks in your favor. He protects your name, your value, your presence. Not because he wants something back, but because deep inside, he feels that taking care of you means taking care of something precious to him. Love does not always shout loudly. Sometimes it moves quietly. Sometimes it speaks through actions that go unnoticed by others. And this kind of love, the one that guards you even in silence, is one of the strongest kinds there is. So if he changes his routines without even realizing it, if he defends you softly even when you are not near, if he thinks of you before making decisions that matter, do not ignore it. You are standing in front of an emotional truth that even he has not fully understood yet. And right there, in that place beyond fear and logic and old wounds, something genuine begins to grow, something pure, something untouched by doubt. Stay with me now, because we are reaching the deepest signs of a love that can no longer stay hidden. And when all these signs mix together, when you look back and notice that this man has changed without planning to change, when his behavior, his silence, his small gestures speak louder than anything he could ever say, then you see the most important truth. Real love does not always show itself in dramatic moments. It does not always appear through big actions or perfect explanations. Often it comes quietly, as consistency, as gentle care, as affection that needs no audience. When a man is more in love with you than he even admits to himself, his heart has already made a decision his mind is still slowly catching up to. Deep feelings do not disappear. They express themselves through emotion, instinct, behavior, subtle movements, and choices. Even when we fail to understand them at first, they remain true. And when you feel these signs, when you sense this connection, when something inside you whispers that what exists between you two is not random, listen to it. Trust your inner voice. Many times what we call confusion is actually the mind trying to explain something the soul already knows clearly. And if these words have touched you, if you have seen yourself in these lines, if you felt like someone finally expressed what you have been carrying inside your heart, then I kindly ask for something small but meaningful. Share this message, not for me, but for those who are searching for clarity, for hope, for confirmation about what they feel. Because true love, the kind that comes from the soul, wants to be understood, so it does not get lost in the noise of everyday life. Write to me in the comments if you have ever felt something like this, if you recognize these signs from someone special. I look forward to reading your thoughts, connecting with you, and continuing to build this space together. A place where emotions matter, where hearts can speak, and where people feel seen without judgment. And remember, every share, every comment, every small heart helps this message travel to the people who need to hear it most. There are many out there who simply need reassurance that their love is not a mistake, but a sign of something real and deep. See you in the next video. But for now, keep this truth close to you. If he shows all these signs, do not question it. He is far more in love with you than he even realizes himself.